So at this bar club, it was kind of an experience because if you've never worked at a bar or club, it's very different. Like when I was working at the restaurant, it's all about being friendly. The friendlier you are, the more money you make. Everyone's really happy. And then when I got to the bar club, people told me, all the waitresses told me this, and my bosses, they were like, be mean to your clients. Be cool. Don't come to the table. Yeah. They said, don't come to the table right away. Like, give people time. At a breakfast restaurant, it's like bam, 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 bam. You'll see like 100 people in a day. At a club, it's like you'll see a few people. And basically what this was, it was kind of, they're called supper clubs, where you show up, you have dinner, and then you move the tables and everybody buys bottles. It's awful. Don't go to a supper club. The food sucks. Everything sucks.
I've never been.
If you ever want to go, let me know. But it's just loud. Yeah, exactly. But basically, like, it just kind of opened me up to a whole new world where I went from this place where the boss sucked, but the waiters, we all helped each other. Because a lot of these waiters, they worked at the breakfast restaurant for like 15, 10 years, 3 years, 5 years. It's a lot of people that you just see them every week and see them every week. Here, it was lions versus lions.
What?
Where I came in and this is the craziest story, but like I came in and I was blonde and the girls basically all pressured me to dye my hair a reddish brown because we had too many blondes. I'm not kidding. And like I, being a much younger adult, I did it because I was intimidated.
Oh.
Yeah. And basically even the boss was like, look, like I can only have so many blondes on a shift. And I know it sounds crazy. And again, this is nothing shady. It's just a restaurant with bottle service and all that stuff. But that's just how it worked.
Sounds there's this too.
Right. There was this big event called Grand Prix, which is like the Formula One racing. And this restaurant had a big thing. And I remember when that was happening, the boss was like, hey, seniority wise, like you're pretty far down the line. But if you dyed your hair, it was like reddish brown or like dark brown, I think I'd put you on because we don't have any redheads.
Oh.
So I basically
it's like business move. Oh my God.
I went to the pharmacy and just got like box red dye and dyed my hair red, and I got put on a crazy shift, by the way. It was insane. But it was like stuff like that. Girls would fist fight over big tables.
What?
It was such a weird place with like really strange favoritism and also really strange seniority system where somebody would walk in through the door and some girl would be like, oh no, that's my client. But they like didn't know the girl at all. They just would know that these people spend a lot of money or buy a lot of bottles or things like that.
Oh, wow.
It was also a weird place where like it wasn't about how hard you work or how good you are at your job. It was just about how much can you sell. So
I can only see someone like you surviving there.
It's funny you say that. I hurt a lot and I learned a lot and I got out of there in like, I think 8 months.
Wow.
Because I came in, I learned a lot. Like it really kind of opened my eyes to like, I guess fame and money. Because also it was the kind of restaurant where like I lived in a hockey city. So like hockey players would come in, people with money would come in. And it kind of really opened my eyes to how competitive women can be and how mean women can be to one another and how, but basically it was a lot of stuff where like, if you, for example, if like some girl had a table and like, like let's say you'd like just talk to them because they'd be like, oh, how are you? Like they just talk to the girls that work. And I remember like sometimes in the back, like the waitress would like yell at you and be like, don't talk to my tables. You're trying to steal my clients. Da, 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 da.
Oh,
it was
so
crazy. It was like,
oh my
it was
gosh.
like, I'm telling you, it really opened my eyes and I was like, I cannot be in these kind of environments. I cannot compete with other women. Like I think all women are beautiful. And the craziest part about this competitive environment, these were some of the most beautiful girls, like genuinely. If you go to any place, these were such beautiful women. And yet they were so angry and unhappy and competitive. And like, it was wild. But fun stuff, our manager would steal our money. So the way that worked is when you sell, like usually at the end of the night, like let's say you sold for $2,000 or $5,000, you declare it, right? Because then you have your whatever. And then because of that, if you sell too much, then you were basically saying that you made a lot of tips and the government would basically like, the way they would work the club is they wouldn't have to pay you as much money.
Okay.
So my paycheck every 2 weeks for working 40-hour weeks minimum would end up being like $5.
What?
Because what the manager would do is the manager would sell bottles for cash to his friends, but then he would punch the bottles on our stuff. And like, we just have so much stuff to check that, you know, you just trust your manager. Or it's just, you know, it's 4 a.m. You're trying to get out of there. Plus, you kind of drink at the job. It's one of those jobs where if you have a table that spent so much money and they're like, oh, we're getting a bottle of champagne, would you like a glass? You could say, oh, I'm not going to drink.
This sounds like hell. This sounds like...
Another thing that happened, there was one girl who she didn't drink because of her religion, but she kind of took me in as her protege. So she was like, oh, I'm not going to drink, but like she's going to drink. So that like I would drink the champagne for her.
What?
But in my case, it was beneficial because like then when she was in there, her clients knew that like they could go to me and she didn't feel competitive with me. So it helped. So I would like drink her champagne that she wasn't drinking. I know talking about it sounds so out of this world.
It does.
But that's just kind of how clubs can work. Not every club is like this. Not every club is that bad. But last little story. So with the weird favoritism, there's probably so much more, but I'd have to like really sit down and open it up because there was this one girl that started working there. She was this genuinely, she's the kind of girl that you think would be like a politician's wife. She's like the Charlotte of like the Sex and the City girls, which I don't know if that's too young for everybody.
I don't know what
but Charlotte is like the one who like she marries into like Upper East Side, like, you know, she's very like traditional, like brown hair, no sex before, no holding hands before marriage, you know, like that kind of stuff. Anyway, so this girl came in. I don't know how she ended up there. Sweetest, kindest soul. Mm-hmm. And some other girl started a rumor that she was sleeping with the boss because there was no other way that she was like getting these really good sections of and really good clients despite not having seniority. And now that I'm older and I look back at this, I'm like, they were just jealous because she was so nice and she was unbothered and she came in and like everybody loved her because she wasn't a catty bitch.
What is going on?
I know. It honestly feels like when I talk about it, it feels like another world. And the cooks were awful. The cooks would get so angry.
Are nice.
No, the cooks were awful.
Here.
I remember one time I came into the kitchen to tell the cook about like something and he took the plate of food that I had and he broke it on the floor. And he was tiny, by the way. Like, plus I was in heels. Oh, one funny story.
Oh
okay.
God,
so the I'm like remembering. So our big boss, like he would never there because he was always in his office. Like the big boss, the owner, he had a rule. All the girls had to be in heels. It didn't matter how tall you were. So if I'm wearing a shortish dress for the dinner service and I'm wearing heels, it's kind of awkward when I come up to the table and there's a couple and like, you know, if they just look up, it's a little awkward.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would wear just sandals. But every time he would come in, because he didn't have his glasses on. So what I would do every time he would come in, I would just kind of stand on my tippy toes. And he could never tell that I wasn't wearing heels.
Because he was blind? He couldn't see without his glasses?
No, because like he would kind of look at me. Like you can tell when a woman is wearing heels, she walks a little differently.
Oh, yeah,
She walks a little differently. She has a little different stats. So I would like just, if the big boss would come downstairs while I was doing dinner service, not in heels, I would just kind of like walk on my tippy toes a little bit and slow down like how I walk. So he thought... thought I was wearing heels and he just never looked down to notice that I wasn't.
That's so big brain. That's so like life hack. Oh my God.
Yeah. There was a lot of that.
I feel mind broken by this whole conversation.
Trust me, there's so much more, but like I think it's just a little too jarring and it's like so but yeah, I only remained there a little bit. There was some girls that really took me under their wing because I was much younger. And some girls that it was like I said, I just saw the worst parts about women. And I think, you know, we've talked about this privately, how I really want to make sure in my female friendships that there's no competition. I'm very big on that. And I think that place was one of the places that really shaped me to be like that, where it's like, we can compete on everything, but I do not want to compete with my fellow woman. There's just... It breaks me. It honestly pains me. And I've seen the worst. Fist fighting over a table.
Over a table. That's insane.
Yeah. Like girls would be in like the nice heels, nice dress, go in the back and just start like, what the hell is going on?
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my God. That sounds, and you were there for what, 8 months you said?
8 months. Because then one of the hostesses that I became super close friends with, she left to another place and she was like, hey, this place is incredible. I think you need to work there. She was like, everything you liked about your other places, but we'll talk about that after.
Oh my God.
That's my next story.
Oh God.
Sorry, what like mind broke you the most, you think?
I think everything. I think the fact that a place like that exists.
Oh, so many. I think when
Maybe
you
I'm
get
too
into like
sheltered.
night industry, it gets worse and worse because you're also drinking on the job. Then a lot of people will like, you know, we had a manager that would flirt with all the waitresses and clients. And then once a month, his fiance would come into the restaurant and yell at him. And it happened every month while I worked there. And at some point I was like, okay, like, you know.
I think this whole episode can be just about that job.
Probably. And I think probably, but you know.
Yeah.
I swear at the end though, I have funny stories.
Okay.
I have like really funny stories that like tie everything up really beautifully.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
What, you don't think cry in the fridge is a good story?
That one No, I think I actually know the most of your stories about this last one.
I talked about it the most.
Yeah.
It's also my most recent before streaming, so I think that's why.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.